Hi there, it's Bruce Wallace from Dundee and Victoria Chess Club in Bonnie, Scotland. And the game we've got for you here is between John Wilman, my old friend is White, who's on 1665, ELO rating, and Jan Peters from Holland, who's rated 1727. And this game was played in the Open section of the Oban Chess Congress on the 30th of November 2007. And let's kick off. John started with d4, knight f6, c4, c5, e3, g6. I've got a King's Indian system here. Knight c3, bishop g7, and now bishop d3. And there were alternatives there, but black played knight c6, knight g to e2, and here the analytical assistant recommends knight f3 as another alternative with slight advantage, but after knight c6 it was knight g to e2, and b6, d5, knight e5, and now f4. And John is prepared to give up his light squared bishop to get a pawn mass in the centre. So knight took the bishop with check, queen took, d6, castle, castle, e4, and a powerful pawn centre here, a6, and this is giving white a certain advantage. a4, bishop d7, and then b3. Now here recommended was f5 immediately. G takes, e takes, b5, takes, takes, rook takes, queen takes, and then b3. It was an interesting position with a slight edge to white. However, after bishop d7, b3, then knight g4, h3 kicking the knight, which went back to h6, f5, and now f6, which gives a big advantage to white. Instead of f6, king h8, but still a significant advantage. These pawns in the centre are causing black all sorts of problems. However, after f5 played f6, f takes g, h takes g, and then queen g3. Here the analytical assistant recommended knight f4, g5, knight h6, queen e8, knight g3, knight f7, and then knight f5, with more than a pawn advantage to white. White has much more space and control of the centre, and black's position on the king side is relatively cramped. However, we go back after h takes g6, white played queen g3, and still a good advantage here. King h7, knight f4, queen e8, bishop b2, f5, and now knight e6, and this now swings massively in black's favour, because after the bishop takes and the pawn takes, the pawn on e6 will be a target and will drop, because white really can't defend it. Instead of f5, the analytical assistant recommended rook b1, supporting the bishop and freeing the knight for action, and this maintains a good advantage for white. However, after f5, knight e6, and now bishop takes, pawn takes, bishop d4 check, king h1, f takes e4, queen h4, bishop f6. And after the game, in post-match analysis, there was discussions about a good move for white later on in this position. Here white played queen takes pawn. However, there is a stronger continuation for white in this position. I'm sure John considered this, but didn't play it. But it is the move rook takes f6, the exchange sacrifice, then pawn takes, knight takes e4. Now we have three pieces on the f pawn, g5, queen e1, knight g8, and rook d1, and it's a massive advantage to white of over 2 pawns. White is going to win another pawn, and it's going to be a good position for white. Let's, for example, look at the continuation. Queen takes pawn. What do we have here? knight takes g5, winning the queen. So that pawn is immune. So the exchange sacrifice after bishop f6 of rook takes f6 gave white a very good advantage, leading to this position. Rook d1, we looked at that line, but not the best, as black can't play it. However, after bishop f6, white took the pawn, and now it's almost level. Knight f5, rook f3, bishop e5, queen g4, rook f6, and now rook e1. Recommended here was rook b1, supporting that bishop and freeing the knight. However, after rook f6, rook e1, and then John went for an exchange sacrifice of rook takes e5, and now a big lurch in black's favour. He should have taken the bishop when he had the chance, when it was on f6 with massive advantage. Now it's rook e5, and then white plays knight d5, and post-match analysis suggested that knight e4 was a better move here, and yes, it was equalised. Knight e4 and queen h8, bishop c3, and these are moves recommended by the assistant. Queen g7, knight g5 check, king g8, knight f3, rook f8. Now white wins back the exchange. Pawn takes rook e4, rook d8, knight takes e5, king h7, king g1, rook d2, and h4, and very even. Slight edge to black actually. However, that wasn't what was played. After rook takes e5, white played knight d5, and now the tide is turning. Knight h6, queen g3. Now here, queen h4, pinning the knight, was a better option, and in fact maintains white's edge. Slight advantage to white, so one move can make a lot of difference in these positions. However, after knight h6, queen g3, rook f5, and now really the game has swung right in black's favour. Rook takes rook. Here a better move, there isn't a better move for white here. Rook f5, knight takes, queen g5, queen f7, g4, knight d4, queen h4 check, king g7, g5, rook h8, and now huge advantage for black. Bishop takes, and e5, and white resigned. Now if you go back to the game, to this position, this is when white missed his chance with the exchange sacrifice. Rook takes f6, which led to a big advantage, and with correct play should have won. So unlucky, John, you missed your chance of a little brilliancy there with that exchange sacrifice. But better luck in your next games, and I'm sure you'll have one for us to show where you do in fact win. See you soon.